Hello and good morning. Hope you're doing well today. It's Phil Thatch, and this is the Sunday morning after the Tennessee-Alabama game where Tennessee won last night, so pretty exhausted. Got home earlier than last week when we played Florida. Got home before midnight, as a matter of fact. And I've woken up this morning with plans to do photography of some type. I brought all kinds of gear, and there is a heavy fog, or at least there wasn't a heavy fog at our house, which is a couple of miles from the lake. But now that I'm down, within a quarter of a mile from the lake, it's very foggy. So I'm searching for a photograph. You would think I would have this planned out to where I knew where a good photo would be, where I should absolutely go when it's foggy, but I don't. So I went to one place and I wasn't able to find a composition that I liked, and now I'm continuing to search. So hopefully I'll find a composition to take advantage of this fog. I've stopped at a local state park, one that I kind of try to avoid because the ranger here is kind of a jerk, always harasses you if you're doing photography. But I think it's too early for the ranger to be awake. And I have the 180 to 600 on because I was planning on doing bird photography until I saw the fog. And anyway, I came out here, and right over in that direction is a boat dock, fishing pier sort of a thing. And there is still some fog coming off the lake over here. And I made a few handheld shots with the 180 to 600 at like 1/60th. Here is the fishing pier photograph. This is with the 180 to 600 at 180 millimeters, 1/60th of a second, wide open at f5.6, and the ISO is 320. Really love the way this shot turned out. If I could change one thing, it would be to have this fisherman that's sitting in a chair, if he would sit someplace where I could see his entirety instead of him blocked by this post. But other than that, I'm really thrilled about this entire shot. There's reflections, but not dramatic reflections because there's fog blocking the reflections. So it's still really cool. And this is the far side of the slough over here that you can see trees, but you can barely see them because there's so much fog on this. Just really happy with this shot with the 180 to 600. Made a few photos of a tree over in this direction that I photographed several years ago, back when my Z6 original was new. And I made photographs of it with the 24 to 70 f4 that I bought used from Phil over at Photo Gear Fun. And now there's, right out here in this place where I used to come and anchor sometimes when I had a 22-foot boat, there's a boat that looks like a 50-footer or more anchored out in the middle in the fog, and I'm going to try to hike around until I find a composition of it that looks good. You may be able to see it over there. Now this is also at that same park. I really love this tree. I've photographed it before, and there's some reflection and you can see some fog all around. And there was a person there sitting on the ground eating breakfast and enjoying the sights at the park. This is with the 24 to 70 f4S. This is 52 millimeters handheld, 1/100th of a second, wide open at f4, and ISO 72. I had auto ISO on for all these shots. And because this camera is so high resolution, you can see there's tons of detail in this when I go 100%. Love that high resolution Z8 sensor. I'm just doing handheld shots with the 24 to 70 f4 of this amazing boat out here in this foggy slough. It's really beautiful, and I'm shooting at about f5.6. I'm trying to get as much depth of field as I can, and still be able to shoot this handheld. I probably should have gotten my tripod, but it's working handheld. The water's smooth as glass, so there's a nice reflection. Even though you're shooting through fog, there is a mist floating over the water that kind of blocks some of the reflection. But anyway, I think these shots are going to be pretty cool. This may be my favorite shot of the day. This is also with the 24 to 70 f4S. This is 61 millimeters, f5.6. My shutter speed is 1/160th of a second handheld, and the ISO came out to 180. And this is just the slough there at that state park. And you can see I'm standing on the shore on this side, and there's trees on the shore on the other side. It's not very big, but this is a huge boat anchored out in the middle of it. and you can barely see the trees on the far side. And let's go 100% here. There's a lot of detail in the boat. Even though there's fog, a good bit of fog in between me and the boat, there's still a good bit of detail. I love how it looks like it's just floating because there's so much fog above the water here. Just really cool. Love this photo. Here's another shot of that tree. This time I've gone horizontal with it, and you can still see the person is over here, I guess maybe drawing or reading. I thought she was eating breakfast, but anyway, there's the tree that I'm really fond of. And with this wide shot, you can see some more of the trees there at the state park. This is 34.5 millimeters and 1/160th of a second, f5.6 and ISO 180 with the 24-70 f4s. I walked all the way back to the car, and when I got there, I noticed that my microphone was missing that had been connected right here. So I had to come back and retrace my steps, and I found it laying on the ground. And now I've got it on my hat, kind of like my friend Tim Childers does. But anyway, I thought I was going to have to buy a DJI Pocket 3. But nope, I found the microphone, so I guess I'm going to keep using my old and amazingly worn out DJI Pocket 2. There's my microphone laying on the shore beside the lake, right beside a large pile of great blue heron poop. And I had walked probably 50 yards away from it to get to the car, and I just retraced my steps and found it. I guess I won't be buying a DJI Pocket 3 today. I've come now to Harrison Bay State Park, which is a park where the rangers are much friendlier than the last park I was at. And I'm still trying to chase fog compositions. I'm out here in a field where I often hike around for bird photography, but this morning I am doing fogtography, and there's a tree that's already lost all its leaves. Today is October the 20th. A lot of the trees, most of the trees, still have their leaves, but this tree that is my subject has lost its leaves, and I'm making some handheld shots with the 24-70 f4 of it. Here's the tree that's lost all its leaves. It may be dead. Maybe it doesn't have any leaves. Now there's leaves on it at the top, so maybe it's still alive. It's just early to lose its leaves. This is 57 millimeters, f5.6, 1/250th of a second, and my ISO is 160. Well, I've been wandering around this field some more. I was working on compositions of this tree with no leaves on it, and while I was doing that, I found another tree right out there that I'm really fond of, and I made a few shots of it. One of them, I think my favorite one, is going to be a horizontal shot with this other tree in the background that's just beautiful, kind of juxtaposition sort of a thing. So let's look at those. I really like this tree, which is my subject tree, but even more than this tree, I like this tree in the background. It's got some nice color on October the 20th. We're just starting to get some fall color in my area, and I love the branches and how they look and the fog. Although I don't like the foggy sky that much, honestly, I do love the fog that's adding depth to the rest of the shot. The only thing I didn't like about this composition is this tree kind of leans to the left, and I wish that this tree was on this side of it. That way this tree would be leaning towards it. So what I did was I walked around until I found this composition where this tree is now leaning towards this tree that I love so much in the background. And as you can see, we're starting to get a little bit more light. This is 36 millimeters, 1/250th, f5.6, and the ISO is 90. And I love this tree in the background, and I also love this tree. This little background tree here has a lot of character to it. And of course, the golden colored grass is nice. And there's getting to be a little bit of blue in this foggy sky. So I like this. I cropped this one to 1:1. There's some man-made stuff on the right-hand side that I didn't like. So this one needed to be a square crop. And I like the way it turned out pretty much. I've left Harrison Bay State Park now, and I'm going to pull off just right on the side of Highway 58, which is near Harrison Bay State Park. And I stopped because I thought this boat, there's going to be no light on me, but I thought this boat with great light on it looked really cool out here in the middle of what my friend Craig Joel calls Envy Bay, because boats will be out here and cars will drive by and envy the people in the boats. Anyway, that's what he calls it. But I made a shot of this boat with great sun on it and still a little bit of mist coming off the water using the Z8 and the 24-70. So now there's a lot of sunlight, and right here on the water, this is Harrison Bay. My friend calls it Envy Bay, but this is Harrison Bay, and this boat is anchored up just like the other boat was, but it's in a much larger area, and it's got a little dinghy so he can get to and from land if he needs to. Look at all the atmosphere and clouds. You can see some blue sky through this, and there's lots of fog coming up off the water and lots of detail in this. Great light on this boat and still lots of atmosphere. So really happy with this. And I climbed down as low as I could get, and I put my camera down really low. This is another handheld shot. This is 70 millimeters, lots of light. So I've raised my shutter speed up to 1/1250th of a second. I'm still shooting at f5.6, and the ISO on this one is 140. All right, I hope some of these shots have turned out good. I haven't seen them yet. You've seen them. And I'm going to call it a morning. It's been fun out here trying to chase the fog down. But it's time to go home and work on these pictures and put this video together. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. That helps me out a lot. And as always, I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye from the side of Highway 58, looking out onto Envy Bay.